What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dirty and Driven podcast. We got a great show for you guys today. Joined by my co-host, the blue-collar banker, Mr. Slick Nick.
What's going on, guys?
We have a new guest today, Mr. Gage Watson of Watson Construction. What's up, Gage?
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, we're excited to have you, man. This is going to be an awesome interview. Real quick before we get started, wanted to give a couple shout-outs, do a little housekeeping. First of all, shout-out to everybody who's listened. Right now, we just released our episode with Corey Pruitt. We're at a little over 200 listens, so we're pretty pumped about that. So thanks for sharing the show. Thanks for listening. Big shout-out to the people of Belgium. Don't know who's listening in Belgium, but pretty fair following base there. So thank you, Belgium. If that is you, hit us up on Instagram, Dirty and Driven. Love to hear from you guys. Love to connect. Or anybody that wants to hit us up, Dirty and Driven on Instagram. We're also on Facebook, but Instagram's the best way. Also, just want to give a big shout out to our FBI agent. We've consistently gotten one listen from Washington, D.C., so I am assuming that is mine and Nick's FBI agent. So shout out to you, man. No, but for real, if that's you, hit us up. We'd love to hear from you. And then everybody else, just thanks for listening. Stay tuned for more stuff. We're excited about it. And if you want to be a guest also, or if you have somebody that wants to be a guest, hit us up on Instagram. Again, that's the best place to reach us for now. So anyways, Nick, what have you been up to, man? You had a day off today, didn't you?
Yeah, got so many vacation days floating around. I just decided to take a random one today. It's been pretty nice. Of course, I spend all my vacation working anyways, so it's not really like a holiday for me. But it's been a good day. You know, hot as hell out for you guys that aren't from around here. It's about 105 degrees, humidity of 104%. You kind of sweat your ass off outside, but that's part of living here. It's part of the commitment.
Yeah. Gage, what about you, man? What's going on in your life?
Working.
All you do is work, huh?
Yeah.
Dang, man. That's cool, though. Yeah, we're going to get into some of that good stuff. Yeah, so Nick had a vacation day. He spent it all day working. They just give those things out like candy, though, don't they?
Yeah, you know, between the bank holidays and the vacation, I think I work about 50 days a year, it seems like.
Yeah, dude. Must be nice.
He doesn't have to put a lot of effort into it.
Gage, you ever take days off?
I wish. No, I take days off. You know, everyone needs to rest on occasion.
Yeah, that's cool. What kind of projects you got going on right now?
Man, so right now we got some custom homes that we're working on. We have a 100-year-old stone building that we've started renovating into an office complex. We got some commercial work lined up, turning commercial buildings into apartments for victims of domestic violence, and a few remodels here and there.
Yeah, tell me about that stone building, because that's a pretty historic thing. Wasn't that like the old Marlin Stone barn or something?
Yeah, so my great-great-great-great-grandpa homestead here in Ponca City, and he was the mason for the Marlin Mansion.
Really?
Yeah, and so he built this barn to live in and cut the stone for the mansion 112 years ago.
So that was your ancestry's barn?
Yeah, and it's been a blessing. You know, 100 years later, I'm getting to bring that building back to life and repurpose it for modern application.
Wow, dude, that's freaking sweet. I didn't know that. I just thought that it was just a cool piece of history that you had the opportunity to work on, but that's got even more meaning to you, huh?
Yeah, it's got a lot of meaning. You know, every part of that project my ancestors touched. And
that's sweet, dude. For those of you that don't know that are outside our listening area, the Marlin Mansions, E.W. Marlin was an oil baron here in town long time ago. Basically was the start of like ConocoPhillips and all those Marlin oils. He built this awesome mansion, so that stone barn we're talking about is where all the stone was cut for that mansion. So
it's been a Ponca icon for 100 years.
Yeah, if you've been to Ponca, you've probably been to the Marlin Mansion, because that's like the one thing anybody takes you to do. Yeah, dude, that's sweet. So how long, I mean, you're 25, right?
Yeah, I just turned 26.
Yeah, just turned 26. So you've been part of the family business for how long?
I started working the summer I was 11 years old.
Wow.
I did work release through high school, so I was up at the high school for 2 hours a day, and the rest of the time I spent working with my dad, learning the business and learning the trade.
Wow. That's really awesome, dude. I mean, you guys do some really cool work. So you predominantly have done residential houses and remodels and stuff like that, and then now you're kind of dabbling into commercial stuff, right?
Yeah, that's my end goal. My dad and grandpa, they spent the last 40 years building custom homes here in the Ponca City area, doing a lot of historic renovations, and I'm looking at the future and trying to decide whether I want to stay in that line of work or kind of branch more into commercial work.
Yeah. Are your dad and grandpa still involved in the business, or is it mainly just you?
My grandpa passed away about 4 years ago. My dad, he's kind of a silent partner. He's not really involved. He definitely doesn't come out and do any of the field work.
Yeah.
But he's there for a lot of consultation.
Gotcha. So do you ever have issues with your age whenever you're bidding jobs or out there doing any of that stuff? Did people ever question that?
When I first started managing the company when I was 21, I did get a lot of that. But as my reputation's grown and people realize that I know what I'm doing, even though I'm 25, it's kind of gone away. Yeah. But it's still there. It still lingers.
Yeah, every now and then somebody questions you like that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty wild. How did you and Nick meet? You guys have known each other a while.
Oh, we met back in high school. I knew of his dad, but Nick was a few years younger, so we just kind of hit it off when he was a freshman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you, Gage, pulling in there. I think we were leaving the barn. James, you and I were leaving the barn that day, and you pulled in with a couple buddies and like, hey, man, I know you guys own quite a bit of land. You mind if we start duck hunting this stuff? I'm like, man, well, maybe. I don't know. I have to talk to my dad about that one. But, yeah, I think that's whenever we really talked for a little bit. And then we didn't really reconnect until we got back to college.
Yeah.
Had a few classes together and then kind of really started reconnecting more or less after college and formed a pretty good working friendship relationship. It's been pretty awesome, pretty beneficial. I know a couple younger guys that are in the same trade because, Gage, you do a little bit more than just construction. We dabble in the cattle business, so we got a little bit of similarities there. We've done a little couple business ventures together.
Yeah. On top of the construction, I also ranch. Ranch.
Dang, man, you ever sleep?
Very little, not enough.
Yeah. Dang. So did you just enjoy the family business from the start whenever you were going, or was it kind of a gradual thing over time, or what made you decide to get into it?
So I always told myself I was going to take over the family business. It's been a passion of mine, and it's been in my lineage. Like I said, I'm the 4th generation contractor here in Ponca City.
Yeah.
So I definitely wanted to carry on that tradition. There was a period of time when I was in college that I thought about going a different direction. So when I was a junior in college, I started managing one of the co-ops here in town. Well, it was actually about 45 minutes outside of town, and I liked it, but it just wasn't where my heart was. Yeah. So I came back to the family business.
Did you go to college?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I double majored in construction management and agronomy.
At OSU?
Yeah, at OSU.
Oh,
I didn't know you did that. Did you just commute?
Yeah, I just commuted.
Really?
Yeah, I was working, so I didn't have the luxury of being down there and getting the college experience. I was helping manage the business, and then I ended up managing the co-op, so I was having to drive from Ponca City down to Stillwater every day.
So that's always an interesting little topic. What is your opinion on college? Was getting that degree beneficial for you, or would you maybe skip that if you were to do it again?
Yeah, I have people ask me that all the time. College, both of my careers are directly in line with what my degrees were. Yeah. I can honestly say that if I would have taken the knowledge that I learned in college and tried to apply it to what I'm doing, it would have been a complete disaster.
Really?
College was a huge waste of time.
Really?
Yeah.
So you probably wouldn't do it again if you had to?
No, not just that, but the amount of effort I had to put into it, working and commuting, could have been directed strictly to the business or strictly to the farm.
So why'd you stay in it then for 4 years just because you felt you had to at that point?
Yeah, you go through high school, and I had teachers tell me all the time in high school that I was kind of a flunky in high school.
Yeah.
I made horrible grades. I failed out of my sophomore year, and they always told me, you're going to fail if you don't go to college. You're going to fail. You're going to fail. And you hear enough of that, and you start to believe it.
Yeah.
But there's one instance in particular that I always go back to, and we were doing a big remodel on the Anderson building when I was a freshman or sophomore.
Yeah.
And I went into my first day of English class with Mr. Shelton, and I remember he was talking about going to college, and he said, guys, you want to go to college because you don't want to be the kind of person who was doing the work on the Anderson building. And I started thinking, at that particular point in time, I was making $17 an hour working for my dad. And I did the math, and I thought, man, at 16 years old, I was making more per hour than this guy was with a college degree. And that was the last day I showed up to his class.
Really? That's crazy.
Yeah, that was the last day I showed up. So, you hear those things, and you start getting influences that might not be in line with what you have set up for your life, and you let it get in the way of your goal and your vision, and that's kind of what happened to me.
Yeah.
And then once I got started, I didn't want to quit. I felt like I needed to finish it up.
Yeah.
But that being said, I was real successful in college. Like I said, I got 2 degrees.
Yeah.
And I even started a master's program.
Wow.
I got a year into it, and then I just realized that it wasn't going to pay.
Yeah. Dude, that's wild. Wow. So that's hilarious that he said that. I mean, it's awful that he said that. I think that that's such a big thing that's happening right now, and has for the last while. Before the podcast started, you and I were talking about how there's such a gap between basically our father's generation and our generation, because there was the colleges have been great marketers for the last 20 years, and they have gotten a lot of people hooked, and they've convinced all the teachers that education's the way. But it's like you said, you were making more money at 16 than that teacher was. Yeah. So, and he's a great teacher. I'm not saying anything bad about him. I really liked him, actually. That's actually kind of surprising he said that to you. But construction's such a rewarding thing, and you can make damn good money doing it.
Yeah. One thing I always go back to is the Oklahoma motto. It's labor conquers all. And I truly believe that regardless of your education level, regardless of your IQ, if you're willing to put in the work and you're willing to become a master of whatever you decide to go into, you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
Both socially and financially. There's a whole lot more to being successful than just making money.
Right.
It's like that project up at the barn. There hasn't been a day go by since I started it that someone hadn't come up to me and said, man, that's great.
Yeah.
Your project looks wonderful. And that brings me a lot of joy. I couldn't get that if I had a job sitting in an office.
Right.
Everything I do has so much visibility and exposure.
Yeah, and that's what's cool is, I mean, you not only manage the business, or do you own it, or just manage it, or part owner? Or?
I own it.
Okay. So you own the business. You said 12 guys that work for you, but you're still out there every day. I mean, you could probably be full time up in the office if you had the manpower to keep it to where you could. But I mean,
yeah, I'm in the field every day swinging a hammer.
But you're still out there doing it, man. That's really awesome. And I mean, that's just so. I love being out there actually working and doing stuff, because it's so cool to look back at the end of the day and be like, wow.
Yeah, and when you think about it, a lot of people talk about a college-level job.
Yeah.
They say, oh, Gage, you don't need to be doing – I even had someone today. They said, Gage, why are you out here putting that siding on? Shouldn't you be out there making money? And I got to thinking, how does that make any sense? What is a college-level job? Because I can tell you from experience that college was a whole lot easier than learning how to frame a house.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to college. I can do some of the hardest math equations out there, but dude, I can't hardly hang a picture on the wall.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I can build. I do roads and dirt and all that, but When it comes to like your kind of stuff, I can't do any of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't know how to do that kind of stuff.
Well, it takes time, and people are starting to see the value of actually having hands-on experience.
Yeah.
You know, it's gone from labor being looked down upon to these people who, you know, are working an office job, maybe making decent money. They're paying me, you know, $65 an hour to go work on their house.
Yeah.
You know, so I think the tide is changing. I think more people are seeing value in the trades and value in labor and working with your hands.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's getting to the point now where there's not enough people in the trades, not enough people doing it, that it's like, oh, yeah, we need to get more people in there. So that college push is kind of slowing down a little bit, because you go and you get $100,000 in debt to get a $50,000 job. I mean, come on, man.
Exactly.
And college is good for some people, but not everybody.
Kids that are graduating high school are making $50,000 a year for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Starting off.
Yeah.
Now, someone that's driven and, you know, they're going to move up fast. You know, and what's a college degree going to do for you at that point?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you look at it, what does college actually teach you? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
College didn't teach me how to preg check cows. College didn't teach me how to do embryo transfer on my cattle. Didn't teach me how to manage books. Didn't teach me how to be successful running a business. Didn't teach me how to frame houses.
Yeah.
I mean, construction management taught me nothing about construction.
Yeah.
You know, like you said.
I got that same degree, man. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I can do all the math in the world.
Yeah.
You know, but at the end of the day, that math is on the plans that I have to put together.
Yeah. And there's something to be said for learning that math and, you know, getting the crap beaten out of you mentally for a while. I mean, college was beneficial for me, but it's not for everybody. I mean, if I was in your shoes and I already had a business and I already knew how to do that kind of stuff, I probably would have just 86'd it.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, nobody's going to be asking for my degree.
Exactly.
If you're in the position you're in. Yeah.
And I guess there is a little bit of value when I talk to older customers that went through the period of time when college actually was valuable.
Yeah.
You know, that are impressed by what I did.
Yeah.
But it's so finite that I don't think it's made a difference in my performance,
Yeah.
you know, financially or on the job site.
Yeah. So how did you learn the skills that you did? Like, I mean, did you just learn them from your dad, working with your dad out there for years?
Yeah, like I said, I started with my dad when I was 11.
Yeah.
During the summers. And,
Yeah.
Basically just got hands-on experience. I didn't go to tech school. I didn't go to any sort of training. It was all on the job, learning from the old-timers.
Yeah.
When my dad was running the business and I was a kid, I was learning from guys that were in their 60s and 70s.
Wow.
Learning from the best in town.
Yeah. So he taught you and his guys taught you and stuff like that. I mean, you just learned being out there. I mean, the best way to learn. That's really cool. I mean, that's invaluable experience right there, just that kind of hands-on learning.
Yeah.
So how old is your average worker that you have right now?
Out of 12 of us, there's 4 that are under 50.
Yeah.
The rest of them are over 50.
So the ones that are over 50, I'm assuming, are the ones that are kind of your head guys and your experienced guys?
Yeah.
Do you have any younger guys in those roles yet?
In a leadership role?
Yeah.
No, I have a few guys that are doing great and working their way up, but again, they don't have the technical experience to run a job yet.
So what do you say to those guys? Let's say the guys right out of high school, the guys right out of, whatever, or maybe they're new to the industry in general, that would want to come work for you and make pretty good money even with no skills. What would you say to those guys, and what advice would you give them to help them just to make them better employees, better people, better whatever, just better all around, and to actually learn those skills?
You have to be willing to do it.
Yeah.
And there's not a willingness out there right now. Everyone thinks that everyone thinks you can go from 0 to 100, you have to start at zero and progressively get to at a point where you can run a job. Or does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, because
you
saying,
have to be patient.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's something that our generation has lost too. Is, I mean, because anymore you can watch a YouTube video and learn how to do something, and like so people are used to that. They're used to logging on, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm good at this now. I mean, it took me 5 minutes, but to learn the skill and the craftsman. I mean, because you guys aren't just builders. I mean, you guys are craftsmen. Yeah. I mean, that stone barn is art. Mm-hmm. It really is. And to be able to do that skill level, it does take a lot of time. And I'm all for.
And I do have to chime in on something.
Yeah.
I have a lot of experience and I do good work, but I think about the guys that I'm working with. They have 4 decades of experience on me. Yeah. Of actual hands-on experience. I can't touch what they can do.
Right.
That's something that is developed over time that you are always learning.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah, and kind of what I was saying is just, I'm all for training people, getting people better, and giving them every opportunity to make themselves better. And it sounds like you do that pretty well just from some of the conversations we had earlier. But it still takes time. I mean, it takes time. You got to be out there in the field doing the crappiest of jobs before you can even think about learning how to do the skilled jobs.
Yeah, and, there's some bigger companies that are around, and they do hire people out of college that have a construction management degree with no technical experience. And their idea is all they're there to do is manage the job, get it from A to B. And if you don't know how to perform the work, you don't know what quality is.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't know the quality, and you don't know how to properly get good pricing and any of that. I mean, you can build what you're doing at that stone barn on paper. You could build that in a month.
Yeah.
I mean, but in real life, it's a big job that takes a lot of time. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So I want to touch back on the point that you made a second ago about the guys that have got 4 decades of experience. It's really awesome to hear that, and I mean that's such a cool, humble statement. How is being the leader of these guys? How do you go about that? Because I know that can be a tricky subject at times. Whenever you are leading these guys that are quite a bit older than you, I run into this issue sometimes too, and it's definitely an interesting little game you got to play. But how do you truly lead those guys and keep them effective workers and still value what they are doing?
That is a good question. The biggest thing I can say is you have to respect them.
Right.
You have to show them that even though I'm their boss on paper, they are my boss in the field in a way. Yeah. I question them, I refer to them, I bounce ideas off of them, and I let them know that they're valued. And to be honest, I haven't had any issues. Yeah. Right? They want to go there and perform the work. I want to run the business.
Yeah.
But I think so many guys go out there, younger guys, and they want to be the boss. Yeah. And you can't be a boss. You have to be a team player, and you have to be a true leader.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's great. I think so many young guys don't get a grasp of that. They think, wow, I'm your boss. You do what I say. And I mean, ultimately, you can't do that.
You can't do it. You have to show them respect. When I was at the co-op managing the elevator up there, it was the same sort of deal. The 3 people that were working under me were 40 and above.
Yeah.
And they did not like that I was their boss.
Yeah.
So I did have a little bit of struggle there. More so, I think there was just resentment in the fact that they had been there so long. Mm-hmm. But again, they had the ability to become a manager or become a leader in the company, but they weren't willing to put in the extra work to do what it takes. So, on top of being able to go out there and perform the work and do the work, you have to be willing to go the extra mile. We talked about this earlier. I work in the fields from 5:45 to 2:33. I get my workout in, and then I'm looking at jobs, talking to customers, doing paperwork, doing payroll, bidding, consulting, doing all those things after work that most people aren't willing to do. Yeah. And again, I'm going to touch base on this. That's the easiest part of my job.
Yeah.
It's just the most time consuming.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, finding that tact is definitely important. I mean, that's what I do with our operators because, I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, if I'm bidding a dirt job, I always ask the guy that's been doing it for, like you said, 4 decades, long time. And I put it out there. I just say, look, man, you know way more about this than I do.
Yeah.
I mean, my education doesn't mean anything. The field experience I have doesn't mean anything because it doesn't even hold a candle to yours. So what would you do in this situation? And that's a very good way to balance that. And that's exactly what it takes to lead those sorts of guys. Because you want those are the skilled guys right now, and you need them on your crew.
You have to have them.
They can find a job anywhere.
Yeah, they can. That's the position you're in right now. If you piss off a lead, in my situation, it'd be a lead carpenter.
Yeah.
If I piss them off, there's thousands of other companies that hire them in a second.
Yeah.
So I'm always walking on a tightrope, making sure that they feel A, fairly compensated,
yeah,
B, respected, and C, given the time off that they want.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. These guys, they're older and they have the experience, but they can't go balls to the wall like me and, the younger guys can. And I have to respect that. I can't ask them to push their limits.
Right.
Especially in the heat right now.
Right.
Nick said it's 105 degrees. How is a 60-year-old man able to stay out there all day and keep pace with us?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
I have to respect that. I can't go out there and say, we have deadlines to meet. You're going to have to stay till 7 o'clock tonight.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people do.
Yeah. That's really great, man. I mean, and not a lot of companies do that. I mean, it sounds so simple, but I talk to guys all the time that work for companies that they hardly even give them the time off.
Yeah. For my guys in the field, I'm a true believer in a 35-hour work week.
Really?
Yeah. You get any more time in the field than that? I have a saying when I hire someone. Look, we don't come to work. We come and work.
Yeah.
We come there, and all I'm asking is 7 productive hours a day.
Wow.
I don't want any more, but I damn sure don't want any less.
Wow. Just
stay consistently busy throughout the day. And there's been a lot of guys come out there, younger guys, and they give 110% effort from 6 in the morning to 10 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then they're so gassed by the end of the day that they can't get it done.
Yeah.
So they're only, and I just don't operate like that.
Yeah. So you're just saying be consistent all day long and be good.
Be consistent in the period of time that is actually productive for you.
So do you find that working less hours actually makes your company more productive? Like, does that work for you?
Yeah, 100%. Less hours. If I could justify it, I would have my guys only working 6 hours a day. We'd work 6 to 12, no breaks and no lunch.
Wow.
And we would be getting more done than any other company working a 12-hour day, and I can guarantee that.
Wow. That's a really interesting perspective. I can't say that I've really ever talked to any contractor who's said that. I mean, you hear 7 to 3:30 a lot, but I've never heard just if you could do it 6 to 12 or whatever.
But you get into the problem, I can't do that because they have to have enough hours to be able to pay their bills and stuff.
Right.
So 7 hours a day is a good amount. Now, that's not to say that we don't have to work 10, 12 hours a day on occasion.
Right.
But it's very rare.
Really?
It's very rare. I want a 7-hour productive day.
Wow.
Every single day.
Did your dad operate like that?
To an extent, he was a little bit more of a hard ass than I am. He had an older mentality. He would look at a deadline. He would look at a deadline and he'd say, "Oh man, we have all this work we have to do. We need to stay as long as possible to get it done."
Yeah.
But you start dragging, and that's when mistakes happen.
Yeah.
And I don't want a mistake on my job.
Yeah.
I want it to be as seamless as possible.
Yeah.
I want everyone's head to be in the right spot. I don't want them to be gassed out. I don't want them to be too tired to think. I don't want them to be so hot that they end up hurting themselves.
Yeah.
There's a guy that works for me, and he's the definition of blue collar.
Yeah.
And there's been several times I've gone out there and I've said, Sam, you need to slow down a little bit. I'm not asking you to just go 110%. I'm asking for, 80% all day long.
Yeah.
And I really do think that set me apart from a lot of my competition.
Wow.
I do.
That's
because
really awesome.
Think about it. That's less hours billed
Yeah.
to the customer, right? So every hour that's billed to the customer is a productive hour.
Wow. Yeah. That's really awesome. I mean, that's such an interesting perspective. And I've heard of guys doing similar stuff. There's a guy in Hawaii that I was reading an article about the other day. I actually listened to him on a podcast, and he works 4 tens, and that's it, because he wants his people to rest. And you're kind of taking a similar approach, work a little less and then give your guys more time to rest and enjoy their lives and be happy. And I think that's I think that's great. Now, obviously, that doesn't work for everybody, and some people, that's not really how they like to work. I mean, some people want to work 12, 14-hour days because they like the overtime, they like the money, and they just like it.
But let me ask you this. Are they working 12 to 14 hours a day? Or are they there 12 to 14 hours a day?
Yeah, and that's a good question, too. I mean, and I can tell you that whenever I've worked those kinds of hours, mistakes happen on days like today whenever it's real hot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's whenever things screw up. That's whenever equipment breaks down. That's whenever somebody makes a delirious decision. But, I mean, also...
it's like this. When I was at the co-op, during wheat harvest, I had to work 100-hour weeks, and that's no exaggeration.
Yeah.
Right? Well, why were they wasting the money to have me show up at 7 o'clock when the first load of grain doesn't come in until after the dew lifts at 1 o'clock?
Yeah.
That was so short-sighted in their mind, in my opinion. They could have eliminated, A, the overtime pay, B, the stress on the employees, and C, the effect it was having on everybody by just changing the hours of all.
Wow. That's definitely a cool perspective. I mean, I like that. And, even where I work, again, we do rope construction. I mean, we it's not uncommon to work 12 hours days, and our people like that. We've actually brought people on that have quit because they are not getting enough hours, even if they're working pretty consistent 50, 60-hour weeks. So that's kind of how our operation runs, and we have people that conform to that. I mean, and every operation is different, but I love that thought process you have. You got a life to live, and I want you to live that, and I want you to rest, and I want you to just come here and bust ass for 7 hours, and that's all. I
want them to have time to spend with their kids, take their kids to a football game, spend time with their wives. And the home life coming into the work life really plays a big part in it.
Yeah.
If their home life is shitty because they're working all the time and their wife's mad and they're not getting to spend enough time with their kid and they missed little Johnny's basketball game because I had him out there grinding, they're going to be upset and they're going to resent me. And I don't want that.
Yeah.
I want everyone to be happy. I want them to be treated like a human. Yeah. And I'm the most conservative person you've ever met.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to work, but not everyone needs to work as hard as the boss.
Yeah. They don't need to work themselves to death.
Yeah, they don't need to work the hours I do. They're working for me. They're doing me a favor by coming up or coming to work. I'm not doing them a favor by providing them a job. Yeah. There's so many jobs. Anyone who can't find a job right now is lying.
Not looking hard enough.
No, they're not looking hard enough. There's thousands of jobs. And not just that, there's thousands of jobs beyond McDonald's and Burger King. Everyone wants to talk about they can't find a job out of fast food or they can't make any more than minimum wage. My ass. Yeah. I beg for someone to come work for me. Yeah. And I can't find it.
Yeah, and I know you pay pretty well. Wow. So what's your turnover rate looking like right now? I mean, I take it your skilled guys have probably been working there a while. the guys that you do get to stick around, and I know you and I talked about how you kind of have a hard time finding people that are the right fit. Once you do find those people and they stay on, let's say you get them hooked for 6 months. I mean, do you have a pretty decent turnover rate as far as like you're not losing guys too much once you get them, or is it kind of hit or miss?
It's hit or miss. I do have younger guys that have stuck with me, and they seem to be happy, and it's going real smooth, but then there is turnover.
Yeah.
There's a funny story. I had this guy, his name was Ron, and he showed up for about a week, and then he was supposed to meet me up at that barn project to do some cleanup.
Yeah.
Well, he pulled in his motorcycle on Monday, did 3 donuts in his motorcycle, flipped everyone off, and drove away.
Classy.
Yeah. Yeah, I had another guy. His name was, I'm not even going to mention his name, but he told me on the phone he could do anything. He said, oh, he was the best carpenter in the world. He's done this, he's done that. He showed up, cut. He was pretty mediocre. I found that off right off the bat. You know, he showed up one day. We were throwing nail base on the roof, and he said, Gage, I'm not doing that. And I said, well, look, I'm paying you to do it. You need to get on the roof. Gets on the roof, puts down one sheet, crawls down the roof, tells me he's going to get pain pills, leaves, and never comes back.
Nice.
And that's, I'll be honest, there's been 5 times this year alone where people have worked a few days, left, and never even come and got their check.
Yeah, and those people, you can't even do anything about them. I mean,
No, you can't.
We used to hire temps, and we had a temp one time. This was like right whenever I was starting to lay asphalt. He came up. He was working. He's like, man, it's hot out here. We're like, yeah, asphalt's 300 degrees. It's hot. And he just took off walking down the road.
Yeah.
Never saw him again. He just started, where's he going? Gone.
I got a funny story. We were pouring concrete up here off Tower Road, and this kid showed up, and we're getting everything ready. The concrete truck's on its way, and he said, I'm going to run to the bathroom. I'll be right back. Well, we're getting everything ready, and the porta potty's kind of off in the grass. You know, we're building a new house in the middle of this pasture.
Yeah.
And I look over, and this kid's belly crawling up this like quarter-mile driveway. Yeah. And at the end of the driveway, I see a car. Well, this kid belly crawls through this tall grass, gets in this car, and leaves and never comes back.
What in the world?
Yeah, so you run into that a lot. But there's, like you said, there's no hope for those kind of people.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just a burden on society, and they'll always be.
Yeah.
You know, and it. You know, what can I say? We're just going to have to take care of them for the next 50 years. They're incapable of taking care of themselves.
Yeah. They just don't want to put the work in that it takes.
No, they don't want to put, and they don't even want to put in the bare minimum, you know, and they've been conditioned to think that they don't have to.
Yeah.
You know, everyone wants to, I get asked all the time. Or, I guess not asked. People will come to me and I'll talk to them about what I do, and they say, oh man, there's no way I could work outside in the heat. And you got to realize, up until pretty recently, you were working to survive.
Yeah.
We have it so easy that we can go work, you know, an 8-hour day and make enough money to support our families and make a living. Yep. No one in the last 50 years has any idea what work is.
Right.
You know, my grandpa tells me stories when he was on the farm that he'd work and then he'd come home and they didn't have any food, so they'd have to put a rock on both ends of a rope, and they'd sit on the front porch until geese flew over the house, and they'd throw the rocks up, hoping that the rope wrapped around their neck and drug a goose down so they could eat dinner.
Wow.
You know, and that was years ago. You know, my grandpa was in his 90s when he passed away. But you want to talk about work? That was work. Going and pouring concrete for 6 hours a day isn't work. I hate to say it, but it's pretty easy.
Yeah. Wow. I've never heard of that. Wow. Didn't even have a gun or anything to shoot those things.
Well, it probably was more so the case that they didn't have the money. They didn't want to spare the 2 cents it cost for the bullet to put the goose down.
Dude, I can't even imagine like trying to do that. Like, those geese would have to be flying low for one, and for two, you'd have to have a pretty good arm.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But you had to do what you had to do, you know. So I think we've been so spoiled for a long time.
Yeah.
We don't truly know what it's like to work.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many jobs out there that don't require any work at all. So another thing that we kind of believe in here at Dirty and Driven is one's health and fitness. I mean, obviously you hit all our other values, especially when it comes to hard work, and one of our values is working hard but enjoying the little things in life, the way that you do your things and the way you structure your work and all that. I mean, it sounds like you're doing that pretty well and still resting and still enjoying your life, even though you are working hard at it. One thing I want to ask you is, how do you, as a blue-collared person, I mean, how do you maintain your health and fitness, and how do you prioritize that, even though you are out there working every day?
Well, I definitely eat well, and I do work out every day. Not saying that I need the physical activity to stay healthy, but I do like looking good and feeling good.
Yeah.
So, every day when we get done between the field and my office work, I go and I exercise, mostly lift weights, take a shower, get cleaned up, and go back in. It's a priority to me. People say they don't have time. Well, you're not making the time.
Yeah, if it's a priority, you'll make time.
Yeah, and not just that. Yeah, I work blue collar, but 50% of my job is white collar. I have to be presentable to the customer.
Yeah.
I can't let myself get overweight or, one thing that drives me crazy is when someone shows up to work completely unprepared. I wake up every morning early enough to comb my hair, brush my teeth, get cleaned up before I head in. Just because you're working blue collar doesn't mean you roll out of bed.
Yeah.
And show up.
Yeah. You don't wake up hungover at 4 a.m. because you quit drinking at 2 a.m.
Yeah. Exactly.
Go to work.
Exactly. It is important, I think, for anyone in any field to prioritize your health, whether you're lifting weights or just having a good diet.
So how does the diet work for you whenever you're out in the field and you don't have time to run home and eat, or you don't have time to go get something? I mean, how do you prepare yourself? Because that's one thing I get from blue collar people all the time as well. It's hard to eat healthy, or I can't afford it or whatever, but it's hard to eat healthy when I'm out here. I just go to the gas station and get something just to keep me going.
It's all preparation.
Yeah.
I pack my food every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in a situation years ago, I don't know if you know this, but, I had my health completely stripped away from me. I'm practically a cancer survivor.
Really?
Yeah, the year coming out of high school, I lost 40 pounds, and I come to find out I had a lot of digestive issues, and they went in and they removed my entire large intestine.
Really?
Yeah, so I went a whole year having my health stripped away from me. I weighed 98 pounds. I was malnourished. I spent 6 months in a hospital, got several different surgeries. So I know what it's like to be crippled and,
wow,
enabled, and I don't ever want to go back to that. I want to make sure that I live the longest, healthiest life I possibly can.
Wow, I didn't know all that. That's insane. Wow, that's awesome that happened to you. Most people would have they probably wouldn't have changed a thing. They'd probably just given up and lived on pills the rest of their lives. And
oh yeah, I can even now, because of the surgeries I've had, I could qualify for disability.
Wow.
But where would that get me? Where would throwing my hands up and just accepting fate get me?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was 7 years ago. It was 8 years ago. Well, 7 years ago, this June, I was able to start working out again. The first day I got to the gym, I wanted to hit bench press so bad, like everyone else.
Yeah.
And I went into the gym, and I got under the bar, and I got the bar 4 times. And I had to wipe the tears off my face and say, you know, and now I've got damn near a 500-pound squat. You know, the bar is something that's like feather, you know.
Yeah. Wow, dude, that's remarkable. I really didn't know any of that. That's 2 weeks in a row, Nick, that we've had somebody who had some sort of disabling incident and could have filed for disability and just
Came right back from it. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I mean, put the work in. That's really cool, man. That's just great to hear. I mean, not enough people in this field prioritize their health and fitness. Is that something you talk about with your guys very much? Here and there, sometimes?
Here and there. Yeah. You know, I do think that a lot of guys would perform better if they would spend the hour or so after work prioritizing their health. You know, not eating gas station food, not just doing the easy thing, you know, really going the extra mile to make sure that they're going to live a long and healthy life. Because what we do is hard on our bodies.
Yeah, it is. And you got to – that's the thing that I always stress to blue-collar people is this is – your body is your living.
Yes.
I mean that is how you make your money. And a lot of these guys, they can't sit behind a computer. They can't – not saying they can't, but they don't want to. I mean, they mentally, I mean, that's not them. That's not what they want to do with their lives, and they haven't developed that skill and all that. But mainly, it's just these guys are craftsmen, like I said earlier, and they are made to work with their hands, and they're made to create and build. And if you're 55 years old and your knees are shot and you're overweight and you have diabetes and all that, I mean, it's hard for you to get to work as you're going to doctor's appointments. You're paying so much money in medical bills, and for what? I mean, now you're just working to pay your medical bills so you can be healthy enough to keep working. I mean, you know, prioritizing your health and fitness, especially at a young age, is so important, and it's just not getting done enough. So that's really awesome to hear that you're doing that in your line of work.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. So just kind of a final question here before we start wrapping things up. What you mentioned kind of your business ambitions for the future, getting into more commercial work and stuff. What are some of your goals? Like I mean, you've already got a pretty good business at a young age. What's next? Like where do you see yourself in the future?
That's a good question. You know, I do have goals where I want to take the business and what I want to do financially. But I'm just taking it a day at a time.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Just climbing Mount Everest one step at a time, huh?
Exactly. I just try to make small improvements over a long period of time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really awesome.
My main goal is to get to a point where I'm doing mostly commercial work and I'm doing real big, high-profile projects.
The kinds of stuff where people look at it and they're like, wow.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what you're doing right now.
Yeah, which I've gotten there, you know. See, when I went to work for the co-op, my dad decided to shut the business down, pretty much. So there was a year and a half there where there was no work. There was, you know, nothing going on with the business. So I basically had to start from ground zero and build it back up. That first year, the type of projects I was doing was nothing like what I'm doing now.
Wow.
You know, I had to do what I could get. And after that first year of grinding it out and paying off the debt to get the business back up and going, I was able to pick up some good jobs and get them done successfully. And then from there, it's just been an exponential rise. I've really picked up a lot of good projects and got a lot of exposure. And now I'm branching into more commercial work, more of what I'm wanting to do.
How many years ago was that?
4. Yeah.
Wow. So pretty quick growth, really.
Yeah, it was pretty. But I can't say at 25, 26 years old I'd be doing the projects I am now without my dad's name.
Right.
Realistically, I mean, just like that barn. I got that barn project when I was 24 years old.
Wow.
Do you really think he'd trust a 24-year-old with a multi-million-dollar project?
Yeah.
You know, without some sort of reputation behind it.
Yeah.
and I think I've exceeded his expectations, and I think I've really impressed him, which has led to more work. But, you know, being realistic, I'm probably 10 years further than I would be if I didn't have my dad or my grandpa.
Well, that's great. I mean, it's great to have those influences in your life.
Yeah, same deal with the farm. You know, if I had to go buy ground and do all those steps to then go buy cows, I wouldn't be making money like I am now on my cattle.
Yeah. Wow. So, I said that was the final question, but I lied. I got one more question for you. It seems like lately, especially the last probably 30, 40 years, a lot of home developers come into these areas and they just put up these plastic houses, pieces of crap, apartments, all that. The work you do is very nice places, very cool, very skilled crafts. Do you see the industry going back in that direction and getting away from all this just plastic crap going up everywhere?
Yeah, to be honest with you, it's up to the consumer. There's a huge problem with people wanting more than what their budgets can afford.
Right.
And then doing whatever they can to make it work.
Yeah.
You know, I ran into that with a client last year. Quality costs money.
Yeah.
And when I build a house, I'm building it to last their entire lifetime with no problems. Right. And when I get done, I can guarantee that.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm never going to get away from that.
Wow.
So, that being said, there probably is going to continue to be a bunch of shoddy work, a bunch of lower-end houses, a bunch of developments that are going to be slums in the next 20, 30 years. But that's not what I go after. I go after the high-end clients that know what they want, have the money to do what they want, and are willing to spend it. You know, it's just everyone wants a 5,000 square foot house for $110 a square foot.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And there's just no way that that's possible and ending up with a good product.
Yeah.
You know, you're better off going smaller with the quality than you are going bigger and cutting corners.
Right.
And that goes with everything.
Yeah.
You know, you're never going to pinch a profit.
Yeah. That's really cool. Well, Nick, I know you and Gage have known each other for a long time, and you've been pretty quiet this episode, so I know you got some embarrassing stories about Gage in the back of your mind. I see that smirk on his face. He's got something.
You know, to be quite honest, I really can't have. I don't have any stories about Gage that are embarrassing that I can think of. This guy's just a stand-up act.
Yeah.
Class act right here. I really can't think of anything.
I can tell you my first experience with Gage is we were in high school, and he took his boots off. He'd just gotten off the farm, and he took them off and slammed them on Nick's desk, and he said, "Hey, Nick, lick the shit off of my boots."
No.
Okay, now I remember that one.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I did not do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we weren't close then. Just you can just probably guess why.
Oh, God. No, that's horrible.
Now, I've got stories that Gage has told me about other things, but we're not going to repeat those on here. Those are just kind of highway conversations that are going to stay in the pickup for the rest of our lives. We might discuss those in a private interview, but
Oh, geez, man. Well, cool, man. Well, Gage, we really appreciate you being on here. Do you have any sort of social media that if anybody were to listen to this and want to connect with you, they could?
I have an Instagram, but it's not really a business account.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what's that Instagram in case anybody does decide they want to follow you?
Gage Watson.
Gage Watson.
Gage Watson 1996, something like that. I need to get more of a social media presence. I will say that, but I hadn't got there yet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all right. Well, cool, man. Well, we appreciate you being on here. I thought this was a really awesome conversation. I think anybody who's listening to Dirty and Driven to get better and to be motivated in their life, I think that they can gain a lot of value out of this. I mean, this was really cool, and you got a really bright future ahead of you in the business you're in. I mean, you're young and you've already done some really cool stuff, and I think you're only going to keep growing. So I'm excited for you and your future, and we'll have to catch you and get you back on the show sometime.
All right. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, dude. All right, guys. Well, that's the show. Give us a like. Give us a share if you like this. Like I said, we're up to 200 listens so far. We really appreciate that, and we're really happy about that. Keep sharing. Keep liking. Keep listening. And, again, connect with us on Instagram, Dirty and Driven. We appreciate you guys. If you liked it, give us a review. If you didn't like it, don't.